Welcome back to TC Talk Sports. I'm sure the dunk contest this year was a disappointment for a lot of people, but today I'm here to refresh your memory by presenting to you the top 5 dunkers of all time. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of hate, a lot of mean, rude comments about this video, but guess what? I don't care. Number 1 is probably going to surprise every single person that watches this video, so stay tuned till the end to see who I think is the best dunker of all time. I don't want to waste anybody's time. I'm super excited to make this video, but make sure you hit subscribe. I'm all sports all the time. If you're a sports fan, you definitely don't want to miss out on anything that I post. Now in this video, and I want people to understand, I'm trying to separate iconic dunks, like really famous dunks, from the people that are actually the best dunkers, like DeAndre Jordan's dunk where he literally killed Brandon Knight on live TV. One of the best dunks of all time, but he was nowhere near my top 5, so I just want you to keep that in mind. Coming in at number 5, Italian dunkers, a middle school lunch staple. I'm just kidding. To start the list of the top 5 dunkers of all time, it's LeBron James. I know you might say, oh, he's a LeBron Glazer. I am not a LeBron fan at all, but that doesn't make me not appreciate the fact that he is one of, if not the best player of all time, but he deserves a spot on this list. LeBron has been doing this 20 years now. He's been doing it ever since he got drafted into the NBA out of high school. When he's out there, he looks like a man playing against boys. Everything he does is so effortless. His dunks are insane. I mean, just the power, the finesse on them. One of the most iconic ones, Jason Terry on the Celtics. He fumbled the ball, turned it over. It was like a 3-on-1 fast break, and LeBron just absolutely embarrassed Terry. I mean, it's a classic dunk, iconic dunk, but if you just go through his highlight reel, he has so many fantastic dunks. I mean, just the way he takes off, he can jump from far away, finish with power, finish with style. I mean, he is probably the greatest player of all time. Sorry, Michael Jordan fans, even though I think Jordan's legacy is better, but that's a different conversation for a different day. But LeBron, the 5th best dunker of all time. I'm not a LeBron fan, so you can't pin that against me. Coming in at number 4, a lot of people would consider him the best dunker of all time, but I think he's slightly overrated in this conversation. Number 4, Vince Carter. Yes, I mean, everyone can agree that he is one of the best dunkers of all time, has some of the most iconic dunks, some, I think, very overrated dunks, but again, just because he has iconic dunks doesn't mean that he's the best dunker of all time. You see some video from these other guys I have coming up, and you just can't argue that his dunks are better than the top 3. His dunk in the Olympics over that 7-footer might be the best dunk of all time. That doesn't mean he's the best dunker of all time. I mean, that one was absolutely insane. Carter also not one of the tallest people, which is good. The shorter you are, honestly, the better chance you have at being a better, flashier dunker. Carter definitely falls into that category. I think, in my humble opinion, his dunk contest dunks are wildly overrated. The 360 windmill dunk, the bounce oop in between the legs that got Shaq out with his camera and that funny look on his face. I mean, I just think those are overrated in general. It's an argument for a different day, but like, obviously the dunk contests have sucked the last 10 years, but the 2016 dunk contest was the greatest dunk contest of all time. Thank you, Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine. All of their dunks, maybe minus 1 or 2, were miles better than Vince Carter's dunk contest dunks or any in-game dunk he's ever done. Aaron Gordon under 2 legs over the mascot was the greatest dunk I have ever seen in my life. Obviously, you're not doing that in a real game, but this snapshot, I mean, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. It probably should have gotten 100, a million score in that contest, but of course it only goes up to 50. I mean, I saw something that said he would have finished 4th in the Olympics for high jump with that dunk. All that dude does is play basketball. Those people in the Olympics train their entire lives to get to that moment, and he almost would have medaled in those Olympics with that dunk. I mean, that was the best dunk contest, best dunk I've ever seen in my life. Zach LaVine in between the legs from the foul line. Yes, I know he wasn't at the foul line. He was about a step in front, but that is still 14 feet away. The foul line is 15 feet back from the rim. He jumped 14 feet away from the rim, put the ball in between his legs, and still dunked it with a lot of power, just comparing those dunks to Vince Carter's dunk contest dunks, Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine way up here, Vince Carter way down here. A lot of people have probably already shut off this video because of that wildly hot take, which I don't think is too big of a hot take. Vince Carter at number 4, the third best dunker of all time, none other than Blake Griffin. He has so much power, so much force when he goes to dunk the ball. I mean, you can't watch any of these Blake Griffin highlights and say that Vince Carter is a better dunker than Blake Griffin. I just think that's absolutely crazy. Like I said, he has so much power. He can add finesse to it. The spin against the Spurs in the slam, I mean, that was just a beautiful dunk. I don't think Vince Carter can top that. Blake Griffin literally made Timothy Mozgov eat his box on live TV with that dunk over him. I mean, the way he just attacked the rim and finished. So much power, so much force. He was so fun to watch. Honestly, I had arguments with myself that he could have been higher, but I think number 3 is a good place for Mr. Griffin. Definitely better than LeBron, definitely better than Vince Carter. Number 2 on my list of top 5 best dunkers of all time, a little bit of a smaller sample size, and speaking of little, this dude is only 6'2", and every time he goes to dunk the ball, he is absolutely vicious. He tries to murder the rim, rip the rim off the backboard every single time, and he is just absolutely electric to watch. The number 2 best dunker of all time, Ja Morant. Like I said, he is just absolutely vicious. He's electric to watch. He's only 6'2", which I think is crazy, but his hops are unreal. Every time he goes for a dunk, he cocks it back so far, almost touches his back with the ball before he throws it down. I mean, these highlights, these dunks are just absolutely unreal. He dribbles to his left, bumps him away from the rim, and Morant gets slowed down, and he's still able to jump up and throw it down over 7-footer. I think that one's a little bit underrated. The de-acceleration of speed, I guess, when he dribbles, I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but then he ends up going away from the rim and is still able to cram it down. I mean, that one's underrated. And how about Ja Morant dunking on who might end up being the best shot blocker of all time in Victor Wembanyama? Ja Morant dunking over Wemby, 6'2" versus 7'5", 7'6", 8'2", whatever Wemby is. I mean, Morant, when he goes to the rim, is absolutely insane. You can't watch these highlights and think that he's not one of the best dunkers of all time. I just think the power and viciousness that he attacks the rim with is crazy. I mean, when I was watching YouTube videos of his highlights, I couldn't help just smile and laugh about how insane Ja Morant is at dunking the ball. The moment we've all been waiting for, my best dunker of all time. This might be an outrageous hot take, but just watching this guy, I've never seen anybody do something so effortlessly in my life. I put more effort into walking every single step I take than this guy does dunking the ball. The number 1 best dunker of all time, I'm sure a lot of people have never even heard his name, but the best dunker of all time, Derrick Jones Jr. He is the first man or woman that I have ever seen that I can believe that somebody can fly. Just watching Derrick Jones jump is an absolute spectacle. It's a blessing that we're able to see it. He's been on like 10 different teams in his career, but he has at least one insane highlight dunk from every team. I mean, he's tall, he's lanky, he's skinny, but he can still throw down with so much power, like these clips right here. Every time he jumps, every time he dunks, his head is no lower than the rim. I mean, there's times where his head's at the top of the square on the backboard. The lob with Miami, bam, to Derrick Jones Jr. His hand is almost at the top of the backboard. That video, it literally looks like he's floating, looks like he's flying through the air. That's one of my favorite dunks of all time. I think he is severely underrated as a dunker. Like I said, a lot of people probably don't even know who he is. I think he's underrated as a player as well. I wish the Mavericks didn't get rid of him, but that's whatever. He is an absolute freak. Apparently, the NBA's most viewed video is when he was on the Mavs, those sick black uniforms, Luka on the ground, passing it to Kyrie, the lob to Derrick Jones. I mean, that is just absolute cinema. I find it hard to believe that that's the most viewed video ever for the NBA, but that's one of the most iconic clips. Again, that's not the reason why he's the best dunker, but every time he goes to the rim, it's just so effortless, and it is just beautiful to watch. He's been doing this ever since high school. Roll the tape. I mean, ever since he stepped foot on a basketball floor, this dude can fly. I'm curious to know what age he started dunking. because even in high school, his head is still above the rim. I mean, he's just an absolute freak. I love him as a player, love him as a dunker. Go ahead and comment all your hot takes and rude comments below. I do not care. Derrick Jones Jr. is the greatest dunker of all time. Woo! What a hot take of a video. I'm just going to go out and say that. I know I'm going to get a lot of rude comments. I don't care. Let them fly. Honorable mentions, we can throw like Dr. J, Aaron Gordon, Sean Kemp, Michael Jordan. I mean, he can dunk from the free throw line. That's cool. I mean, just the still frame of the Jordan logo is sick. But overall, they are not better dunkers than this top 5 list. I think this is the best list ever put out. LeBron, Vince Carter, Blake Griffin, John Morant, Derrick Jones Jr. Do with that information as you will, but that is the perfect list of the best dunkers of all time. Thank you for watching. If you agree, if you would disagree, doesn't matter. Go through on YouTube. If you didn't get enough video from this, go watch highlight reels from these 5 guys. Set aside some time during your day. Watch those because they are absolutely nuts. I can't watch the 2016 dunk contest highlights without smiling every single time. I think that dunk contest changed my life forever. 9 years ago is crazy to think about, but no Mac McClung dunk will top Levine and Aaron Gordon in that dunk contest. I think I had the best list ever. LeBron, Vince Carter, Blake Griffin, John Morant, Derrick Jones Jr., #1.